Great to be back with you here on Social Replay. Captain, how we feeling post-Christmas, my man?
I'm good, man. Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas to you. How you
sir.
feeling? You look good? You looking good?
I feel good. You somewhat just experienced a weird quirk I have in my brain and body. No matter what I'm doing, no matter when it's happening, if I have to have 2 or 3 things with me, leaving the house, coming upstairs, one of them's always forgotten. Every time. I don't know what it is. Something is always left that requires me to go back in the house or back downstairs. Today was my phone. I can't do it. It's like I freaking need a checklist. It's so pathetic.
Yeah. Do you ever? I have the same problem, man.
Really?
Preach. Oh yeah. Do you have the problem where you'll walk into a room, you know you were meant to go in there to grab something, but you'll stand there for a good minute and a half trying to figure out what in the world it was you were supposed to go in there and get?
I have the problem. I'll even audibilize it. Why am I in here? What am I doing?
Right.
You're trying to talk yourself in. What the hell was this process about? It's infuriating.
Yeah, it happens to me a lot. We're going to Jamie and I are going through the whole memory thing now. You know, you just start forgetting things, and there are things that you were thinking about 30 seconds ago, and you're like, what was I just thinking? And if somebody stops, one of the kids interrupts you mid-sentence, you get more infuriated.
Yes.
I was in the middle of a thought. Oh, sorry, Dad. Go ahead. Well, now I can't remember it. Damn you.
I didn't know your thinking was that important, Dad. Well, it's critical when I can't remember it. It's really freaking important. I use the Notes app all the time now. I feel like I'm writing notes to myself. This is a sign of getting older, I assume. All the time.
Gotta write it down. Gotta write it down.
Yes, Merry Christmas to you, sir. How was it? Give me the breakdown. Was it? What'd you guys do Christmas Day? I know you host for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
Had some family over Christmas Eve. Keep your shoes on. Very much a shoes on affair. We don't want to see anybody's socks.
Okay, noted.
Numbers? Don't go anywhere around that.
How many people we got here?
Not significant. 6. Yeah, 6. So small affair. Yeah. Made little pasta spread, little pasta buffet with some grilled chicken, nice salad. You know, the whole thing.
Nice.
The whole deal there. We had a funny. We opened gifts. My sister and her husband and family. She's got 3 kids. They come over. They're a part of the group, and we open gifts that we give to each of them. You know, at the end of the night. Other folks go home, but they'll stick around. And this is hilarious, dude. This is straight out of Seinfeld. I mean, this is so funny. My wife got my sister the same exact thing that my mom got my sister. A bread maker. So it's not an item that you need 2 of. It's an item where you have to get rid of one of them.
Oh.
My question to you is, how do you run this down in your head? Okay, I've got these 2 bread makers. One's from my mom. The other is from my sister-in-law. What do you do there? And you don't need 2 bread makers, obviously.
Your sister-in-law.
Well, her sister. So my sister.
Okay, so that's where.
Yeah. So Jamie.
That question I think is important.
Yeah. No question.
Because if it's sisters, I imagine I'd say, I'm gonna keep mom's. I'm gonna have to take yours. Where did you get yours? I'm gonna need the gift receipt here. Unless they're real tight and I don't want to just get. Would you like the bread maker you got me? Do you need a bread maker? Because you can keep it. You give it right back. It's a little awkward, but I feel like you got to keep mom's gift. And maybe that's I'm my mom's son and do anything to not hurt mom's feelings. And for some reason, I feel like she would be spurned at all if I was like, well, I got 2. I'm going to keep Devin's and give yours back. She'd be like, what? And I'd be like, I thought you wanted a bread maker. Oh, God. Okay. Ma, I'll keep your bread maker. I'll figure this out, my brother. That's where I feel like the sibling has to figure it out. And I don't know what you do there.
Yeah, she's definitely got to figure it out. I mean, we started running through all the scenarios. I mean, and it was so funny because Jamie was desperately trying to make my sister Heather feel better about this dilemma. She immediately goes, look, no matter what you decide here, no matter what your decision is, I am okay with whatever you decide. It will not affect my feelings one bit. Now, part of her doing that is she knows my mom. First bit of information for you is one of them is $200 more than the other. Does that do anything for you?
Yeah, that definitely changed. I should have asked more questions before I had my resolution. Is it? I don't know anything about bread makers. Is the more expensive one? Is it drastically better, or different, or provides a better product?
Yeah, I think so. I think the price is indicative of that performance. Certainly, brand carries Cuisinart. What's the what do they make?
I think it's Cuisinart.
It's a fancy one.
It's
a
okay.
fancy bread maker.
Who got the more expensive one?
Well,
Oh, now
we're
we're in
not
trouble.
scrimping on a bread. We're not right.
Now we're okay. Now we found ourselves in a little bit more of a pickle here. I definitely had to ask more. Let me rescind everything I said before. Let's take it all out. That was not the right answer. That was too quick, too snap judgment. We have to understand the situation here a little better. Yeah, I think I might be keeping the more expensive one. I think I'd have to have a conversation there. I do love that, Jamie. Whatever you think, whatever's going on, I support your decision. Like that. It's an important disclaimer as well.
Now, my mom, you have to understand. Did you ever watch Everybody Loves Raymond?
A little bit. I've seen episodes, but I didn't watch it consistently. But yeah.
So the mom in that is, it's a fair comparison. So that's some more information. This is not like, hey, Mom, I'm going with Jamie got me a bread maker. It's more expensive than yours, maybe a little bit better. This isn't a scenario where my mom's like, oh, no problem at all. Totally get it. Just we'll return that one. Or
this will be harbored.
Not that
this will be harbored in some regard.
Oh, no question. No question. To the point where it's horrible, horrible idea here. Jamie goes, well, why don't you just keep them both? And when she comes over, you just break hers out. So her suggestion was to swap out the bread makers.
That is actually that is the Seinfeldian response. That really is to avoid all conflict. It's like, all right, well, let me just manage the situation. That's a Costanza-like take. That's why it's Larry David. Like, I don't feel like having this conversation. Let me just switch them out. Let me flip them out. Now, obviously, you guys broke this down. Then how was it discovered that she got the bread? Like, give me the path to. Did she just say, I just got this? Did mom just gave me this? Or what did she say? Or how do we know this?
she you could tell she was a little bit, when she opened it, she was a little bit weird about it. Mm-hmm. And she copped to it immediately. Jamie was like, what's wrong? I'm noticing something here. I got a vibe. She goes, my mom also got me a bread maker. And of course I immediately launch into, Freudian, my wife is my mom. Why are my wife and my mom getting the same gift? At this point in your life, you're getting
analysis for you.
Oh, I just started diving in deep. You got the same gift as my mother? What is this saying? What does this say? And of course, my suggestions were, well, you should keep ours and make your first bread and then give that as a gift to my mom. You could certainly do that. Or you re-gift the bread maker, not to her, not to my mom next season, but you just re-gift it.
Those were your takes?
Yeah.
Like you knowing your mom here, this is the first take seems giving her a bread made by not her bread maker seems like that's going to result in some issues, I imagine.
Yeah, that's a little bit cruel. It's a little bit devious.
A little bit devious.
I found I had no suggestions. I was sort of in a wait and see and love to know how this goes down. My sister over text the last couple of days has been talking real tough, we're going to keep your bread maker.
So, William, what does talking tough mean in this scenario? What exactly?
We're keeping yours. She immediately looked up the price. I mean, who are we kidding? I mean, this is what this ultimately comes down to, right? Is which bread maker's more? And she immediately, I'm keeping yours. Yours is better. This and that. And I think she's going to end up walking that back. It's my take, but
yeah, I think in my current state in relationship with my mother, I would probably be keeping mom's. I just feel like I'm trying to avoid all conflict. I mean, not avoid all conflict, just with her. I just don't feel like dealing with it. My mom is at the age where she's harboring resentment at a Larry Davian level. Like, it's just, I don't know what the hell's going on here, but I can't. This may cause a spurn. I may not be invited back to her house for a year if I didn't keep this bread maker at this point in time. I don't know what's going on, but all perceived slights are carried like Jesus carrying the cross. Like, it's just freaking out of control right now. I've talked to her about it. She just doesn't recognize it. So I think for my situation, I would just be like, hey, man, I'm going to have to take this just to go with my brothers or my sister. I'm like, this is what's going to have to happen here. And I'll bite the bullet. But thank you. Great gift. Great idea.
Yeah.
Appreciate the up charge you spent as well. But I'm going to have to just kowtow to mom right now. I can't deal with this nonsense.
I happen to agree with you in my heart of hearts. I don't think.
I'm looking forward to the update, especially after the tough talk your sister was giving. I really want to see how
Tough
some of this
talk.
goes down.
Lot of tough talk. A lot of puffing the chest out. I'm keeping yours. Nah, that's not going to happen, I don't think.
And when
but
you guys do this too, like it sounds like just the adults. You're kind of going one gift at a time. Everybody's watching the person.
Yeah.
It seems
Yeah.
like. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, that's it. Like we never did that, obviously as kids, and then even when I would go back with my parents' houses, we became young adults. It was always still just a free for all of like ripping it
Yeah.
open. Thank you. The first time we had like organized, structured experience was with my oldest brother Derek's wife Silka and her family. They would take one gift at a time, open it, everybody talk, have wine, hang. It's a very social experience where we're all in it together and like kind of, just enjoying the moment and the process a little bit more. I tried to institute this briefly at Kelsey's family's house the other night. It was 8:18 p.m. They made it sound like we could never do this. It would take forever. It's like 6 people.
Yeah.
So instead of doing that, it was ripped through in 3 minutes. I was just like, what did we just do here? Like, what? Like nobody even knows who got what. Like, what's going on? Papers just flying everywhere. I'm like, we're 8 again. Like, I don't understand. Like, where are we going? It's Christmas night. We have nowhere to go. It's 8:18. We just finished dinner. Like, what's the rush? But I prefer that experience because it's just a more social experience. And then sometimes you have some quagmires that pop up like that, which I do think is interesting to see people's reactions to certain gifts. I enjoy the whole process.
Yeah, it used to be it's funny you say that, man. It used to be the same in my house where like the next person was opening the gift halfway through the other person getting theirs open.
Mhm.
Like it was a complete free for all. That was how I grew up.
Yeah.
And then my being with my wife's family, with my in-laws, it is very much what you're describing. Very much we are focusing on one gift at a time. The person who is opening that gift is on stage. That gift is on stage. We're going to look at that. If it's closed and the person needs to go put them on real quick so we see how it fits, we're doing that. Like each gift is getting its due. And I love it that way.
Yeah.
Like I think it, like you said, it's much more of a social experience and, it's not as gluttonous, I guess, is another way of maybe.
Boom. Yeah.
We're not just tearing through gifts. Like have more of an appreciation. And so we do that here at the house now where we do the same thing. One at a time, each person opens theirs. We do a little breakdown. If we have little nuggets like dual bread makers, then we can break that down Seinfeldian way. I mean, it's much better.
If one person was given 2 bread makers at this night, we wouldn't even have known. I bet you. There's
Wouldn't
8
have
people
known,
there.
right.
Wouldn't even have a clue. Just would have been shoved to the side onto the next thing. Gluttonous is the great word. It is just. It is like. It's the commercialization of it, like exemplified in one act. Like it's just.
Yeah.
On to the next. Like, did we? And especially when you got nowhere to go, like. What are we doing? I think we did it for like 2 gifts, and then Kels was the one that pushed back. I mean, she's like, "We do this. It's going to take forever." I'm like, "What are we doing? What else? What else?
Yeah.
What else? Where do we have to go? Like, we have nowhere to go." But that got
So how'd you
put-
do it with the? I know you had to split with Lyra. You had her certain days. Like, how'd you work that out?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it ended up being really good. We had the night of the 23rd was our Christmas Eve. As I told you before, Santa came a night early, so that was cool. We did our whole Christmas Eve together. We had dinner and got our gifts together. Before I answer that, I mean, I don't know if any parents are listening to this with kids in your car, but you would probably turn it off at this point in time.
Ear muffin.
Yeah, just please do. How do you orchestrate? Because Madeline's still a believer, right? She's 8. kind of,
Yeah,
but she's
says she is.
kind of, or yes.
Like, did you have you believed, but you didn't want to hurt your parents' feeling? You stopped believing, but you didn't want to hurt your parents' feeling. Did you have what do you call that? Middle ground, a DMZ? Where you
Yeah, definitely a demilitarized zone around Christmas. I don't know if I practiced the demilitarized zone around Christmas. I feel like because I had the older brothers, I was technically in the middle of the 5. Like I wanted to be the older, I wanted to be older. I wanted to act like so. I feel like it was more about my group of friends, and when people started to not believe anymore, and I think I was a bit of the prick in school. I was one of the kinds like. I don't think Santa's real. Like I remember this girl Marie one time. She brought a red piece of cloth on the bus. I think we were like in 2nd grade. It's like, well, Santa, this was ripped and Santa left it in our house. And I'm like, that's not real. That's not Santa's. Like I'm yelling back at her and like, dude, what? This is such a prick. I imagine.
Oh, wow.
Telling her that she's wrong. I'm like, for no reason. But I had no reason to not believe. I think I wanted to dispel the myth if I couldn't prove it, whatever. So I think I was around like second, third grade where I was moving out, but I wasn't just like doing it for my parents. I think that obviously a lot of kids I've heard do that. Is that where you think Maddie's at right now?
Yeah, and kind of similar to like she has 2 older siblings
Mhm.
who are beyond it. And I just remember for me, like we got into it, and so I didn't want like I felt bad being like, yeah, I know Santa's not real. And then it got to a point where they kind of knew that I knew, and so it was like this sort of there was no concrete, hey, you don't believe in Santa. Santa's not real. I don't know how it went down for you, but it was like just sort of evolved.
Well, that's I think it was the same thing. I remember the first time where I was like, because we used to go to my grandparents' house for Christmas Eve. We go Christmas Eve mass, go to grandparents' house. As they got older, they couldn't kind of handle Christmas Day and stuff. Then became my parents' house, and they would come. My grandparents would come to our house, and everybody would come to our house for dinner that night, Christmas night. So I remember, I think it was probably 4th grade, the first time I was part of the adult. Like Dana and Darren had to go to bed. I think that's also why I didn't feel bad. I had 2 younger siblings too. Then I'm like, they still believe. My parents, like it wasn't going to end with me. It was still going.
Okay.
And I got welcomed into the adult piece of it, and it was kind of a bummer because it was all it was like Dad sitting on the couch, Mom starting to put out gifts, Derek and Devin are nowhere around. My grandpa's sitting just eating slices of capicola on the kitchen table, and I was like, "This is what you guys do?" Like this was it. I thought I did like this is boring. Like I almost like I lost the excitement of it. Because I knew what was going to happen, so I'm now waiting for my presents the next day. But like, my little brother and sister upstairs, like in their beds, elated and struggling to go to bed, and like that's where I just was. And now I'm just walking around watching Grandpa eating slices of meat, being like, "What?
Yeah, cured meat, gabagool.
Just crushing
a mafia
capicola,
don.
just destroying it.
Eating cured meat.
Just sitting there eating cured meats. Grandma and my mom are doing the gifts, and I'm like, this is it. And this is kind of depressing. That's my like memory of it of the graduation out, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I asked this because now I'm like, oh crap, Lyra's sleeping downstairs. Maybe I'm telling parents to turn it off. Maybe I need to pump my brakes on my voice. Where do you put everything? Because the transition to the tree, it can be a risky proposition based on how your house is orchestrated and where the kids sleep and all this different stuff.
Yeah, we put everything. You've been to our house, that right in that living room where that fireplace is. So the tree's in that room, and we put all the wrapped presents underneath the tree, and then anything that's from Santa, as I told you last week, we don't wrap. So we just set it out in like 3 separate sections of that room.
But I'm saying, where do you put the stuff that's from Santa? Where is it?
Oh,
How are you moving it in?
In that room you stayed in, that guest room you stayed in.
Okay.
And Jamie shuts the door and puts a sign on the door. We're not allowed to enter the room for like 2.5 months. And the sad thing is, it's the best downstairs bathroom to go number 2. And so
You're losing a
I end up.
facility.
Oh yeah, no question. It flushed like a jet engine. I mean, unbelievable. yeah. It's by far the best bathroom, maybe in the house, but certainly in the downstairs. That half bath we have right out there. I'm not going on that thing. The kids use it. John's peeing on the seat all the time. We haven't rectified that situation. I'm not sitting down to go number 2 on that toilet. So that has the best bathroom. My problem, we were talking just at the start of the show, is I got a memory like a 3-year-old. So when I leave the room, I never remember to close the door. And so I get caught all the time. And it's not one of those like, we're going to fake being upset at each other. Chris, what are you doing? Oh, silly you. No. She's like legit angry about me being in this room. Which is a long way of saying just that guest room that you stayed in. That's the secret room.
I do love the fact that you can't go in there for 2.5 months. Losing a facility for Christmas is brutal. I mean, that's just
it's awful.
That's heartbreaking. It's a lot to deal with. But I guess the journey is the stairwell's right there. So there is some jeopardy by which if you are moving stuff out, because that's where last year.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
We had him on the 3rd floor of our house. We had to go down to the 1st floor. This year we put him out in the garage. But then Kelsey's doing all types of other stuff and writing notes and da-da-da. I'm standing guard. So now I'm just standing guard at the stairwell. Like if anything goes awry here, we gotta do some stuff. Like the whole process, man, is exhausting. You add an elf, it's just The elf on the shelf is this. Well, what are we doing? What are these
You're not
generations? What are we doing?
oh, not a fan. Wow, this is going to be a hot take. Not a fan of Elf on the Shelf. Go ahead.
You gotta find me a parent that likes this process. Every night moving this thing around. Like, come on, man. This is
Dude, how hard is that?
Well,
You
the
just
way- the way
take
that
it.
Kelsey does, there's notes every time. You got to be hanging in the air because you can't have bass grabbing
Yeah.
it. Like it's just a process every freaking night.
Dude, you got to get creative. Like I sit him over a wine glass. There's actually websites that give you creative ideas.
think
I
it's
sit him
some of them, yeah.
over a wine glass and I put a Hershey's Kiss at the bottom of the wine glass. Speaking of going number 2. Our Elf on the
I
Shelf
didn't get that.
going number 2. I put him one time this year. I put him in a.
It craps chocolate. That's amazing.
He craps chocolate. Yeah, of course. Elves, all elves do, don't they?
Of course.
I put him one time in a hot dog bun. That got a big laugh.
So you're more creative. I don't even touch. I'm uninvolved. I don't do anything.
Hey, you got.
It's just. It seems like a
Got to
lot.
get into this thing.
It seems like a lot. And now we're gonna have 2 next year. So that's gonna be great.
Oh no.
Yeah. So
No, you only need one. They should share.
that's
Areola should be.
we have.
Dace has to get into this.
We do have 2 areolas. We could, we can have, both of you guys can be supported by one. It's okay. We can do this. We don't need a second one, but it's already been confirmed. A second one will be arriving. So
What was your favorite gift?
it's a good question. I didn't like Kelsey kept asking me to ask for that. What do we want? What do you want? What do you want? I'm trying to think. Derek always gives me great stuff. 'Cause he's a great gift giver in general.
Is it?
Phenomenal
Yeah.
gift giver. Then he got some really good golf gear, which is great. Always love that. I'm gonna have to say that. Kelsey doesn't listen to the pod, so it's great to just malign her for this. If you're gonna get me socks, because I need socks, just get the same brand of socks that I already wear. Let's not try to experiment with different socks. It's just gotta be taken back. There was something else. I'm like, wait, you know me. This is weird. I got to take this back. Like if we're doing basic things, like just get the same basic thing I already have. Like we don't need to reinvent the wheel here. If we're trying to, because we're both like, I wasn't trying to get a lot of things. Didn't ask for anything. Didn't want her to get me anything necessarily. Because she got me 2 stuff for Chris for my birthday. It's a month before. Like let's keep it simple. Did you get something you were particularly into?
Yeah, really cool gift. I mean, I had like an iPhone 4, and I think they're on like 17
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
So I
it's
got
up
a
there.
new, so I got a new phone, which was cool. So that's obligatory best gift. But my brother-in-law got John and I each. Did you know they have F1 trading cards? I mean, I assume
No.
you assume that that's like something that happens, but they do F1 trading cards, and my brother-in-law and his son are really big into trading cards, basketball, baseball trading cards. They know that John and I are super F1 fans. So they got me a George Russell rookie card, and they got John a Lando Norris rookie card.
Oh, nice.
And my brother-in-law was like, he was telling me that because there's only 20 drivers, and the card industry is actually, I guess, booming. Who knew?
Yeah.
That these cards are like really a big deal, like hard to get. And this, I also was like, all right, man, like I'm sure you put a lot of thought, a lot of money, a lot of like, or do we have to go through this whole thing? Thank you. No, he's a good dude. And it was a super awesome gift. And we weren't collectors. It's not like, I haven't collected cards since I was a kid, but John and I now are like, dude, we got to get into this F1 trading card business. And of course, my nephew was like, don't do it. You're going to lose all your money. It's addictive, and you're going to lose all your money.
That's funny. That's cool,
Yeah.
man. That's great.
So that was a cool gift, yeah.
That is a good gift. That's funny. I do wanted to. This has been weird because I've told people this, and I'm not. The reaction I'm getting is interesting, especially from guys. Kelsey's mentioned she wants to golf for a long time. Obviously, I've become obsessed with golf. Always complains about having clubs, so I get her like a starter set of clubs, and that was one of the gifts I got her. And she would like open it up, and she was like excited about it. But every time I tell a guy, they're like, "Terrible idea, terrible. You ruined your golf." I feel like the exact every time I go golf and I'm gone for 4 or 5 hours, there's way more complaints than if we're doing it together, and maybe we're still new in marriage. We enjoy our time together. We'll be fine. But every guy is telling me like I'm out of I just made a huge mistake.
Yeah. I think they're doing that just because it's, what you do. I am 100% in your corner. Yeah. It's always better. She doesn't golf anymore, but she used to, and we used to go out together, and it was always better that way.
Yeah. That's cool. Why'd she give it up?
She was terrible. Didn't like that fact. She just didn't find the golf thing all that rewarding to her. I don't know.
I feel you. That's understandable. It's frustrating, but amazing at the same time. Last part I will give you about the Christmas. So Christmas Day, we're at Cal. So we did the Christmas Eve here. Drop Lyra off with her mom because her mom has Christmas Day this year. So we drop her off on Christmas Eve at the whatever time that we have to. Go right to the airport, JFK, fly with Dace. I mean, I've told you the last couple shows. I feel like I've brought it up, but my New Year's resolution is to not fly with my little man for at least 4 months. Like that flight for an hour and a half felt like 12 hours. I'd rather fly middle seat to Bangkok than run that back again. He just would not stop, and he was like so tired. He was like cracked out. Of course, one of those things where you fall asleep with like 8 minutes to go on the flight. It's like, thanks, dude. But anyway, we get there Christmas Eve. Christmas Day, it's like her dad's, Kelsey's dad's side of the family comes over to their house and hangs out. And then we go to the mom's side, her mom's parents, 97, 96, still host everybody. We're talking like 60 deep in this house, bro. Like 60 deep. One game of White Elephant for just the women that's like 25 gifts. One game for the men that's like 17 gifts of those that participated.
Love White Elephant.
Great time. Bunch of kids running around. Just chaos everywhere. And this is probably the first time of one of her family functions where I felt confident that I knew everybody's name. Like, it's one of those where I got there, a lot of people, I'm like, who's connected to who again? And I've had a couple, like 5 or 6 different functions over the last couple of years where I've figured it out. But such a different Christmas experience than being here. Because here it's just, you wake up, you don't do anything. Like, we were doing stuff the whole time. I did make it was a very, kind of like an unintentional Seinfeldian faux pas with one of her uncles. So this is the White Elephant game. We're towards the end. Again, I think the guys were like 17 deep. And this guy's walking around trying to assess all the gifts. And we're kind of sitting in one living room. And there's 50 people in this room. It's not a huge room. So everybody's like sitting on the floor, kind of crammed in. He's walking around. And there's one of the uncles that I don't really know that well. And somebody got a nose trimmer as one of the gifts. It was in the back corner. But I'm sitting down on like the fireplace edge. I'm looking up at him. So it was the right angle. And he just goes, he's like, what do you got? And I was like, I got a sweatshirt. What else is around here? I was like, well, there's a set of nose trimmers over there. Everybody around me starts cracking up. And I don't know the guy that much. I'm like, not that you need him, but I'm looking right up his nostrils. That's like the angle I'm looking at. This dude did not appreciate that. Did not. And part of the problem is everybody else was giggling, like laughing. There was all these like Kelsey's dancing around. I was like, dude, I didn't mean that. I was like, not that you need it. It's just over there. He's like, okay, I'll remember that. I saw him the next 2 days. Every time I saw him, it was an awkward interaction. And my man, he's mad. Like, he is taking that. He did not like that shot because it was an unintentional shot. I did not mean it at all in that way. You were asking what was around. I was like, there was nose trimmer over there. Whoa, not that you need it. And I feel like this dude's going to harbor some ill will for quite some time. He was not pleased with this performance.
I mean, he's going to have to let that go. That's like offering somebody a piece of gum or something, and then they take that the complete wrong way.
Agreed.
Although nose trimmer's a little more personal. But hey, man, we're all dealing with it. I'm trimming I feel like I'm trimming my shit every other day.
I'm in there with the clipper. Do you use the zip, zip, that one of those joints?
Yeah. I use my electric razor. Zzz, zzz.
It makes my
that in the ear hair.
We weren't talking about this. I think my barber all the time will make sure my ears are.
Mine too.
It's in there every time. Zip, zip, zip. No, that's good. The nose thing always makes my eyes water. So like I'm in there.
Me too.
I prefer I prefer just like the scissors, just like a little cuticle scissor type thing. But
and if there's like super low, I'll pluck it out, and that shit really really stings.
Hate that. Hate it.
I know.
We were talking about that because after I made this comment, this guy, one of Kelsey's, I guess his uncle, cousin, he made the point that he's like, yeah, my wife will just like pop them out, like reach in and pop it out.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, yeah, I have no problem with that theoretically. I hate it. Just it hurts. It makes my eyes water. Like I just don't like it.
Me too, man. But I harbor no refuge for the gray ones. I got gray ones popping out of the nose now, and I'm like, all right, you're getting plucked. We're going right down to the root.
Right down to the root. We are immediately taking you out.
Yeah, seriously. Right down to the root.
My bad. Seemed like a lovely nose trimmer, though, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was a very different Christmas experience, like going down there and being, and I know she's happy to be with her family, and it was cool. I will say, I'm excited. Next Christmas when it's back here with Lyra, just being in our spot, it's just a different experience. Doing nothing. Enjoying the nothingness.
Totally agree. We didn't go anywhere, and it was awesome.
That's cool.
It was awesome, yeah.
All right, let's move on to some
I
sports. Here. What did you?
hold on real quick. I got to connect with Derek. I just started watching The Pit. Have you seen this show on HBO?
No.
Anyway, it's about an ER. It's emergency room,
Okay.
and it's really a cool show. And we don't have to get into the show. There's a lot of questions I have off of this show for your brother, the doctor.
Would you like to just
gotta
list
get
them?
the doctor.
He listens. Would you like to list them right now? We can.
In fact, I'll put an email together and send it. This show is phenomenal. It won awards, so I'm not like breaking news
How
here.
did I miss this?
just
The Pit?
dude, you would love it. Noah Wiley and
Good.
the entire season. It starts at 8 a.m. and each episode is an hour of the day. So basically, the entire season is going to cover one day in the ER. But it's really, really illuminating about just emergency rooms, procedures, processes. They use all of the different language, but I just didn't know like how amazing these operations were. Just as like the teamwork, the communication, the professionalism, their teaching. Anyway, highly recommend watching it. But I was watching a couple episodes last night. I was like, shit, I got to get with Derek here. I got a lot of medical questions I got to ask the man.
Well, I mean, you fire away. He did have to do because when you do his rotations, he had to do his ER rotation. And he's told me before, like
Okay.
he had an awful Christmas one time because like you're getting ready to celebrate Christmas. Now, granted, there's a massive accident like or something. He spent like 48 straight hours in the ER, like over
yeah.
Christmas Eve to like the day after Christmas, like just wiped. And back then too, there were none of these rules where you had to sleep or whatever. Like talking about an industry that needed to be regulated as far as sleep was probably that one. But it just wasn't, and that was part of like your indoctrination was how like if you had to go for a certain amount of hours, you just went. It sounded like when you were a resident. So, I'm sure he'd love to hear these questions. I would love to. Now I got to watch the show because there's a couple different. There's the Pit, and what was it the Abyss or something else that came out in the summer that was an HBO show that I wanted to watch. Ruffalo was in it. Mark Ruffalo.
I didn't see that one.
I'm behind on all this stuff, but I didn't even see the thing was it. But all right, ER show, the Pit, and some questions for the doc.
I got some questions for the doc. Yeah,
Love it.
Got some questions for the doc.
I can't wait for this
All right,
finally
go ahead.
composed email. Let's do it. Please
Yeah.
CC me. I'd like to be just on the. I'd like to just be a fly on the wall with the answers
I
and
will.
responses. All right, let's get on to some conversations here about sports. We litigated this topic a month and a half ago when Tom Izzo first was upset about European players coming over to America that are European pros, and some of them were being granted eligibility in the first semester. Some of them are going to be picked up at the semester break. And me and you were kind of on different places in this. I was more about, well, they were European players. It's the system they were in. They had to be pros where they grew up. It's how it worked. Here we had people choosing to go to the G League and choosing to go pro because we had a G League player that was going to play next year for Louisville. So Tom Izzo is railing on both these things. Well, now we have James Nnaji, who was a 2021 first round draft with the 31st pick, I think, in the 2022 draft. Played a bunch of G League games over the last couple seasons. He's now got 4 years of eligibility, all 4 years, at Baylor, starting next week, starting the start of the turn of the semester. So he's going to join a Baylor team that's a top 25 level talent. Need a big man. He's 7-footer. Left college to go, didn't play in college, went G League into the pros, and now he's coming back. Does your opinion change on this any at all with the mid-season entry? Because Izzo, again, is railing about this thing and kind of calling out Scott Drew as well.
Yeah, let me ask you this first. Because the mid-season piece of this may be the only thing that I look side-eye at this about. Because I understand that, but let me just ask you this. I don't understand. Is that really what people are upset about here? The fact that, because obviously people have been upset about these European pros coming over. He was obviously upset about the London Johnson thing, and he's upset about this. And he's not the only one. There's a lot of media who are just outraged. I mean, over dramatically, overreaction, just completely outraged by this. And I don't understand why. And I guess I wonder how you feel about it. And are you as turned off by this James Nnaji situation and others?
It's a good question. I think that the challenge for me, and I'm not projecting to a lot of the other media members, but I do feel a lot of vitriol here. I think it's in the context of the NCAA, and how are you managing your enterprise? Because for years, eligibility was taken away for the smallest thing. An extra meal, a meal that was paid for, eligibility issues or suspensions. Actual paying of players, obviously a bigger deal. You went and played. Remember the summer leagues we had to play in used to have to be cleared at certain places. You could only play in certain places in the summer, and if you violated that, you could lose eligibility the next year as a player. I remember going through playing in the Dykeman League in New York City, which is a famous league, a really good summer league, but we had to get that cleared. That was a pain in the ass because they were going to threaten our eligibility next year if we played in certain league. That to me is, and granted times change, but it's like they've gone so far one way because it's not just the mid-season entry. It's now 4 years of eligibility. He was a first-round pick in 2023, not 2022. 2023 first-round pick. He's been out for a couple years now. He's played in a bunch of G League games. He's pushed the envelope as a pro. He's also grown up in age. And you're allowing him now to come back to college for 4 years because he couldn't be a pro at the level that he wanted. He now can come to college, come back down a level, make a lot of money. And I think my problem, too, is I said before, you are pushing down the high school kid. The kids of the normal process are kind of getting squeezed out if this becomes more of the norm because getting in the league, man, is hard. And if I'm a G League guy making 60, 70 grand and I can see what I can make in college, which is in the seven figures, I mean, of course I'd want to go down to that level and play at that level and still have a great time and make a ton of money. So I think it's the NCAA is getting a lot of the ire. The mid-season piece of this is problematic. And that he was just playing in G League games not long ago, weeks ago. So this is, I think all that together is what's causing the consternation. At least for me, it's not about James Nnaji at all. It is about the NCAA and this enterprise and what do we want this thing to be? And do they have any ability to govern it without fear of retribution and lawsuit?
Okay, so that's what I would separate. If people want to rail against a lack of leadership or a lack of clarity or all of this coalescing at the same time, money, portal, pros play, I get that. I mean, rail as much as you want. Now, how that gets fixed, that's what we're all trying to figure out. But I understand that. But railing against the convention of 23-year-old European pros coming over and playing college basketball, or railing against the convention of somebody who has played in the G League. Again, the NCAA has made a clear delineation. I mean, we can say that it's muddled and not well communicated and it's new, but they have made a clear distinction between draft status and professional participation. If you have not played in an NBA game, which Nnaji never did, then they are saying that you are legitimately allowed to. So there's nothing nefarious here. Like the calling out of Scott Drew. I mean, this is what's so funny to me. For years, there were coaches who were notorious cheaters under the table. For years. And coaches would never call these people out by name. But now Tom Izzo is going to call Scott Drew out by name for this James Nnaji thing, which is, again, he's following the rules. I mean, this is within the rules, these guidelines. I just don't understand. The way that I look at this, Dalen, is from two standpoints. First of all, the way that we have always done this, where if you decide, okay, I'm going to go into the draft, which, by the way, baseball does this.
Yeah.
You can get drafted, go play in college. It used to be the way in college basketball. I mean, Larry Bird got drafted by the Celtics, went back to Indiana State, played in the national title, then went to the Celtics. This has been done before. This is not, and is done currently in other sports. The way that we have done it for so long is we have created this now or never proposition with college basketball. Either you're going to take this now, you're going to play college basketball now, or you're never going to get the opportunity. In other words, you decide I'm going to go to the NBA, and all of a sudden I get drafted, but I never see a second of NBA time for whatever reason. That player now has no outlet, no player development outlet to be able to. You can say, well, they can go to Europe, but you and I know how that often goes. I mean, you're sitting on a bench, you're not getting paid, you're in some foreign country. James Nnaji's 21 years old. 21 years old. Still very much in a player development window here. This is now opening up an opportunity for, in a lot of cases, American players, but even the foreign players to get better. Where that window is, there's no longer that dead end of player development. That's the first thing. The other thing I would throw back at you is I think this makes the game of college basketball better. I would find it hard to argue that this influx of European players into college basketball has not made the game better. I mean, I've got a game coming up on New Year's Eve with Virginia and Virginia Tech. I mean, both those teams have benefited greatly by the influx of European players. Testa Ritter for Virginia is 23 years old. Who cares? It makes the game better. And so those are the two things where I just don't understand. I mean, I hear what you're saying, and I understand the lack of leadership and maybe perhaps a lack of clarity. But in terms of the convention itself, am I off there? Do you see anything differently there?
Well, no, I think it's unequivocal. It makes the game better. I think we've all seen this already. We've seen it with guys staying longer, whether it was the COVID years, obviously the money now, instead of going to pro, the fringe pros are staying in the league, in college basketball. Guys are coming over from Europe. And Rick Pitino even said as much, and Rick's seen it all. So if you don't listen to me and don't believe you, like that guy said, that college basketball's never been better. It's a fair argument to make because you've got these pipelines of talent coming from everywhere, and guys are older, having more time to play. So no, I don't argue with that at all. I don't argue the point either that Scott Drew, the ire of Izzo going at Scott Drew and saying, I got to call Scott, like we're friends. He's like, I have some questions for him. Yeah, I mean, this is in the rules. It's fine. This isn't breaking the rules, so fine, go ahead. My biggest, to give your point, 21 years old. You give him 4 years. You allowing him to play till 25? Like that's where I think we are. This is again the squeeze on the development of younger players too. I want the game to be really good, but I also want the kids that are 18 and 19 that are coming in that aren't, Cooper Flag, able to start their development in college basketball. And I know it's making it more competitive, it's making it harder, but they want to be able to play too.
To that point, so let's just stay on that point for a second. I don't understand why, especially at the highest level of college basketball, why it's college basketball's responsibility to develop the high school player. I think you and I would agree that our high school, and it's one of the reasons why, just go back to the European player for a second. I was talking to a coach the other day. I said, do you like your team? He said, I love my team. I said, why? He said, because I'm coaching mostly European kids. He said, I've got mostly European players, and I think he's got an African kid. He said, they're more coachable, they're better teammates, and they're more skilled. I just enjoy coaching them much more than the American player. So if we would agree that the American high school grassroots system, and I'm generalizing, because obviously there are good high school programs, there are good AAU programs, and USA Basketball is a good development program. But if we would, generally speaking, say that the system is broken, the development system of the American player in the United States is broken, then I don't understand why we're now putting the onus on college basketball at the highest level. If you and I would agree that men's college basketball at the highest level is now professionalized, if you and I would agree that it's an entertainment proposition, I mean, this is an entertainment product that we are now creating, that's where I would then push back on this argument that college basketball, especially Division I, is responsible for rescuing those high school players, that the high school players are being squeezed out. This is capitalism. If you're good enough, you're going to get paid NIL, and you're going to play on one of these big time teams. If not, you may get pushed down to low major, D2, D3, and that's just the way of the world. As somebody who, look, I played at a low major, but obviously cover mostly high major. As somebody who is invested in this as an entertainment product and putting the best form of basketball out there on the floor, I disagree on its face with this high school. We are sacrificing the high school player.
I don't think we're sacrificing the high school player. I'm not saying it's college basketball's responsibility. I'm saying that there are good kids that are coachable, that are good players, that are able to get a high major scholarship. That scholarship is gone. It's going to go to a better, older player, most likely. And your point is, they'll get squeezed down, and maybe they'll get through the portal, get moved up eventually. And if you're good enough, they will find you. My dad said that for years. I believe that in any industry, especially in basketball. If you are good enough across the world, you will find a place to play the game and be compensated or had an opportunity that you wouldn't have elsewhere because you can play the game. I don't think it's their responsibility. I just feel like we've already done with the COVID year, the extra year, we're squeezing out high school recruiting anyway. Now it's just becoming harder for the high school kid. And I'm not saying it's college basketball's job to solve it. I simply have empathy for that kid. That's all. I think that's really the long and the short of it. Because ultimately you are going to get the best players to play for you. You want to win, especially the highest level. Your job requirement is to win, and it's not college basketball's job to develop the players. It's just a simple empathy and sympathy for those kids that, yeah, you're probably going to go to Murray State, and then if you show you're good enough, you can get yourself to Louisville. But you're not going to Louisville first most times, unless you are a top end guy. To your point, like the mid tier player, you're going to have to find a different route. And it just seems like that's inevitable, especially if now we're going to have. I imagine it's making it sound like a slippery slope or an influx, but if I'm a G League guy right now, because again, there's no and if there's no time frame on it. Again, he's 21 years old. He'll play for 4 years, so he's 25. Like, I'm raising my hand, man. People understand G League guys' lives. Like, this shit ain't glorious. This is not the 4 season stays with the private jets that the NBA is doing. You are living in a different planet. You are playing in gyms where nobody's really watching. You are playing in a hyper-competitive league of guys trying to get to the NBA. You're playing with a lot of talented players as well. That's hard. You go down to college basketball, things get easier. You play in front of more people, and you make more money. Like, that seems like an obvious transition for a lot of guys that have not been able to make it. Let's go make some money in college and have some fun is a very different proposition than what they're dealing with right now in the G League. I feel like you're going to have a lot of guys raise their hand.
Yeah, which again, I have no problem with. I mean, it seems a little spiteful to me. I think the way that the rule was written for so long was incredibly spiteful. Where a kid, maybe he's it's usually not the kid making the decision, but a kid says, "Well, I'm gonna go into the NBA draft." Bad decision. Either doesn't get drafted, and of course we have some rules that have mitigated that. But or in this case, if you do get drafted, but you never play a game. Nnaji spent some time, playing in Europe. Mm-hmm. It just seems incredibly spiteful to say, well, you're not wanted here. Again, it was a now or never proposition. And we're now giving these players, again, a James Nnaji, an opportunity to develop in. I said what I said about the high school development system. I think the college one's pretty good. I wish these players would stay in these systems and coaches longer than they are. I think that would advance development. But there's no better place it's certainly, I think, better to develop in college than it would be in the G League. That's me. But this idea that we're just going to push you out because of the age, like you just were saying, you're 24, 25-year-olds. So what? Again, is it strictly about the high school player? We have a 25-year-old playing college. It's not fair to the high school kid. Okay. But I keep hearing, again, it's getting back to my initial question. What is the emotional outrage over this? Like, if we would all agree that this influx of pros is helping the game of college basketball, is making the product better, and as a side benefit, we're also giving these players an opportunity to develop and play more than they would in other places. I guess I go back to, I still don't understand why that's bad.
Well, I think it comes back to this pendulum swing, because I've always was a proponent too of especially pre-NIL, like guys wanting to go make sometimes having a financial imperative for their family to go try to make money and go to the league when you're like, I don't know if that's going to work out. I've always been a proponent. I thought before you should have been able to get drafted, kind of like you said with Larry Bird, just like that, retain your rights. Stay in college if you want, but you have your spot, you have your rights. If you go there, if you get drafted, you go to camp and it doesn't look like it's going to work. All right, I can stay in college. I had no problem with that before. With the NIL now added to it, I don't have a problem with it, but it's more like, all right, well, you just know the money's here. Like, you can stay and you can still develop in this system. And if you want to take that jump, you can. James Nnaji took his shot. He tried. He took a different path, different to what a lot of American players were doing. It has not worked out for him. He comes back to college. What's wrong with giving him 2 years? Like, this one's, I just don't like. That's my thing. I was like, you're allowing a guy to go and fail and then have the same opportunity that he had before, which in life there are some consequences to your decisions. Like, you have to have some jeopardy in what's going on here. Like, you have to have some, not jeopardy is too strong a word, but like, you made this decision. All right, you want to come back. Like, let's do something reasonable. 4 years it's a full eligibility term, which again is such a thing that has been thrown around by this NCAA for years. So that's where I think outrage is. It's a pendulum swing of one side to the other, from a level that used to be you're an outrage because, was it Braxton Beverly, the kid from NC State, tried to transfer again, and they held him out for half the season. Bellis was railing about this like every broadcast for like the first 5 weeks of a season, like 6-7 years ago. There's that to now this, which is like, you see it in our country too, these massive pendulum swings. Like, so anybody can play. That's fine. If that's what we're going to do, then to your point before, if this is the rule, how the rules are going to be adjudicated, let everybody know that, and then everybody can go play against it, recruit against it, coach against it. Okay, now we're changing the way we fundamentally have done this. That's fine. But everybody's on the same page, because I do think this mid-season this did surprise some people. This seemed like, okay, we are now going another level to a different thing. So what is within the rules, and what are the rules? And that's, I think, the bigger problem for everybody. When you look at portal, NIL, which is our next conversation about how that NIL is going to play out, rules, what are the freaking rules? And I think that's part of what Izzo's mad about too. And he's also bitching about Scott and how other coaches run the program. But I think overall, it's like, what are we doing? What are the rules?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. And I do think that's where most of his anger comes from. I think he has this like misguided expectation that Scott Drew's going to step up and say, "Oh, I'm not taking him,"
which is ridiculous.
Obviously, that's not going to happen. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I understand that backlash, and I do understand if James Nnaji plays this year for Baylor, which it looks like he's going to. I have a problem with that also. Because that's different than a midseason transfer. Somebody who left the school last December and now all of a sudden becomes eligible, et cetera. That's different to me. So I do have a problem with that. I just think I think these arguments get a little bit muddled, and the one that, well, they're too old and they play professionally. I think we have to start looking at that a little bit differently, and understand that. I think it's a good thing. I mean, that's obviously where I stand. But anyway,
I think part of it too. I think you just hit on the big piece of it. It is our perception of what we like. It's a little bit of what we remember college basketball to be, what it used to be determined as, and what the future is going to be. And it really is, if we recalibrate our thinking to being like, okay, we want to be the breeding ground, the minor league for the world's game of basketball, to then develop more pros to go back out. So in the European academies, you're developing players. They may not think they see the media professional spot. You funnel to America. You got all these American players and kids from Africa and kids from around the world. If you don't think you're a media pro, you funnel to America, and your goal is to get into a good college program. You get paid here to be in college. You develop here to ideally go to the NBA. If you can't go there, you're dispersing back out into the world to be a pro again. Fine. I just think it's an understanding of what college basketball's future is as the best, to your point, entertainment product that still has the emotional tie. Because what college sports still is that collegial, that familial, that connection to the community, the program, whatever it is, that has that intrinsic emotional appeal that it is my school. This is the place that I cheer for. Like, that's what people, I think, are emotionally connected to. They want to have some recognition of what they once saw in their school, in their sport. That obviously has gone away in recent years. So if for basketball, it's just saying, okay, we're still going to wear that jersey and represent that school and that community. But what we're doing here is fundamentally different than what we were doing 5 and 10 years ago. And we know that. We know that to be true. It's if we want to fully lean into that. And that requires an organizational structure by which to say, yes, this is what we're doing and this is how we're going to build the rules. That we don't care where you come from. We can cap it at 30 if we want. We can cap it at nothing. I don't know. But let's just organize this structure into like, this is what college basketball is best served in the current construct of American basketball right now.
Yeah, well said. I can't argue with that. I also think the practice of running, again, and I have tremendous, here's the preamble, tremendous respect for Tom Izzo. I think the practice of running to put a microphone in front of Tom Izzo after every one of these transactions, I think is misleading. Tom Izzo does not speak, I think, for the populace of coaches. I think the majority of coaches they're willing to live with what, and I think they would certainly agree with you. We need to figure out, the antitrust situation, those lawsuits. We need to figure out these rules. I think most would argue that we need a pinpoint leadership. All of these things that we spend hours and hours talking about. I think most coaches would agree with that. At the same time, what is the rule, and how can I get players? Mm-hmm. And instead of sitting there and bitching about it. And that's where Coach Izzo, like, come on, man. These times are things are changing in real time, and this is college basketball coming into a modern reality. In every profession, young people can reassess their goals. They can try something. They can go do something, come back to college. They can do that. In every other profession, young people are allowed to reassess and relook. But in basketball, for so long, we have not allowed them to do that. And here's a situation where we're saying, yes, you are still welcome here. You can still come get an education. You can still come play college basketball. And, running with a microphone to Tom Izzo to ask him about that changing of the times, I think is not doing us any good.
I think what Izzo does, who he does speak for, is a lot of that's kind of the old guard, not of coaches, but of the fan. That's where I think those things are connecting with people, because the people that are like, what is this? What is going on? Because he doesn't want to take transfers. We already saw it with his current team. Like, he's rallied against transfers, the transfer portal. He doesn't love the NIL piece of it. He wants transformational relationships in college basketball. Unfortunately, the most great as it is, that is a thing of the past. He's trying to maintain it as his program. That's great, and you can run his program however he wants. But that's where I did take issue. Speaking down to other coaches that are going to do whatever they can to win games, that is their charge. That is the job. Anyway. All right, well, this is going to continue our conversation a little bit around kind of not the same stuff, but an interesting the turn of NIL and how this thing goes forward. So the transfer portal for football opens on January 2nd, end of this week. We are in the current revenue sharing era, which started this past summer. It's the first time we're going to have a transfer portal with this. $20.5 million is the cap that you can spend on an athletic department overall. Most football programs are spending, between 75 and 80% of that. Most schools are giving football 75 to 80% of that, especially in the Power Four. This first portal window, there are already reports of how this is going to play out with NIL, and people being saying, great example, the best example is when Lane Kiffin went to LSU. We're going to guarantee you $30 million. So you can say, okay, $15 million in rev share, then you're telling them $15 million in NIL money. Well, with the new NIL rules, supposedly, where everything has to go through a clearinghouse over $600, they have to have a valid business purpose, in quotes, all that stuff. So you're supposed to have actual deals, not just be able to hand out money again like we were before. To guarantee X number of dollars seems like, how are you making this work? Like, how will the market function? I guess my question to you is, from the reporting and talking to different coaches, it seems like we are going back to a space where you're either just giving money, you are doing money under the table, or you're finding ways to circumvent the rules. Because you just said, the rules, what are the rules? They've tried to set up these rules. Do these things have any hope of actually curtailing any behavior before, I guess, is my question.
No. That's not how economics works. I mean, I got a C- in econ, but I know enough to know that when capitalism is unrestrained, it is a race to the bottom. And that's where you have in our current system right now, you have, first of all, states that are operating under different laws. I mean, this is why I empathize with these leaders, who are, or you say, well, why are they running to Congress to get this figured out? Because they have to. The first thing is you've got to bring this under one umbrella. So you've got all these different states who are doing different things. And that article in The Athletic that you sent, Stuart Mandel, is that who wrote that article? Yep. Yeah, it was really well done. I mean, he's talking about how the state of Texas is encouraging schools not to sign on to some of these rules that have come across. So we saw what happened with the LSU head coaching job, and the governor of the state gets them. So now politicians have their foot in all of this. It's a race to the bottom. And it was when there were rules around all of this, and it's obviously the same here now. And some of it falls in line with what I've said to you before. The idea that people are going to actually report this on a mass scale, report what somebody's making in NIL, anything over $600, is ridiculous. That's just not going to happen. So the idea, and it's in plain sight. I mean, the article makes the great point. It's in plain sight. Like, all of the deal markers for Lane Kiffin in the contract that was presented to him, all of the collective money and the NIL money was well over the $20 million, or the rev share was well over the $20 million that's allowed. Just out in plain sight, saying we're offering you this amount of money. So I throw it back at you. Same question, man. I mean, What do you think?
Yeah, this was part of the problem when you create rules. How are they then adjudicated? I'm sorry, how are they enforced? And then what is the adjudication process? Well, this college sports commission that's been created, we're all waiting to see what they do with any of this. You're telling me there hasn't been one, like, because somebody's got to find a violation and report it, and then they have to actually, have a case. I just don't think it's going to happen. And here's a part of some of the fine print here is it's on the players and the agents to declare what money they make.
Right.
I don't understand how you take the school out of the equation. I think they did that obviously to protect the school, but as you just said before, the house rules and guidelines were supposed to be signed off by every Power 4 school. That has not happened. And if you don't sign off on the rule, you're not agreeing to the rules. You're not opting in, but you're still playing the games. So you want to play, but you want to have different rules. But the states, attorney generals of states, to your point, are saying don't do this. Or there are other states that are going through with a fine-tooth comb and saying we have some issues. So yeah, until you sign on to these rules, theoretically, you can do whatever the hell you want. This wasn't collectively bargained. This wasn't a settlement that I signed up to. You guys created a settlement. I have not opted in. But guess what? Texas just played. Texas Tech just played. Texas Tech's about to play in a playoff game in 3 days. Like, this is what we're doing. It's creating this fallacy or myth that these are really enforceable rules. That's why, to your point, Congress is still needed, because this is still so disparate and it's such a loosely affiliated thing that you're trying to make people operate under these guidelines. Nobody's going to do it. And if you have one team that seems that they're not going to do it, then of course your competitor's not going to do it. Because as you just said, when it is a capitalist structure, you're looking for the angle of competition for you. How do I fit in? How do I find a way to gain an advantage here to either make more money or, in this case, create a better product through funneling through paying more money for that product, which is players. This is just going to be, I think we're going to return to, dark money to the table, things underreported, whatever. And ultimately, I don't really care about that. I don't really have an issue with that necessarily. Because I think everybody's going to do it. It's when you think you're trying to create rules and then have no ability to enforce them. It's all just talk. And I think we're going to see that play out here over the next 2 weeks, where it's just going to be a lot of talk. The only caveat I would throw out there is if you have somehow other teams, schools, trying to find dirt and report on other places, which, we've obviously that's happened in years past when the NCAA was involved in some of these things, that may get people in a space where the College Sports Commission has to look at some of these cases. And if there is any real penalties levied, then that changes things. But outside of other schools reporting on each other, I don't think many schools are going to raise their hand and say, well, Michael got $6 million, he only reported $3 million. They're not going to do that. An agent is definitely not going to do that. The players, they may be worried about their eligibility, but until somebody gets their wrist slapped, nobody's pushing away, 6 and 7 figure checks for what might happen. I just don't think it's happening.
No question. Again, we are asking. It goes back to the point about Izzo trying to take out Scott Drew's legs. Like, you're asking for this complicity in an environment where you're all market competitors. Billis makes this point all the time. These schools are market competitors. These leagues are market competitors. These commissioners are market competitors. So the idea that we're all going to, and then anyway, the idea that we're all going to, everybody's just going to coalesce around what's good and what we should be doing is ridiculous. And I do find it so funny that, forever, all of this stuff was underground, and, there's not much you could say about it. You knew it exists. Now it's all out in plain sight, and, we have something to gripe about.
What I think also is completely asinine by this commission, because it's written in their words that they thought that these rules would control the market because the prices for players were out of control. They were looking to cool the market, essentially. Well, that ain't do shit, man. Every one of these quarterbacks that's on the market right now is between $4 and $6 million for that guy, for like these top 6-7 quarterbacks. If you pay that, that's over a third of that's like probably a third of your budget, if not more. We just said $14 to $15 million is going to these teams. So what the hell else are you doing to make a roster? You're clearly going above and beyond. Like, this is just, if you're trying to control the economics of the situation, It's just not going to happen. It is we live in a free market society. That's pretty much what's going to happen here, especially when it comes to paying for labor and paying for talent. Trying to control that is an uncontrollable process, unless it's been collectively bargained by that pool of talent, which has not happened here. Therefore, they've agreed to nothing. So why should they be expected to live by these rules and then enforce them on themselves? I want to limit myself. The school's not involved? Come on, man. That's unrealistic.
Yeah. I find it, I wonder if you think, because I think, we kept hearing, and maybe we're not hearing it as much anymore, is that there would be a market correction. The amount of money that's being shelled out for some of these players, well, eventually there will be a market correction. Do you think that's true?
No, because they said, here, we'll give them a salary cap. They got to work within the structure, and that'll make the prices come down because everybody's got to work on the same cap. Nah, man, we'll just cheat. Nah, man, we're just not going to do that. Like, that's that easy. We're not going to play by your rules, and the price will remain exactly the same, if not continue to be inflated. And we will find ways around it because that is our task. The task for all these college football coaches is to win games, to get in the CFP, and generate as much money for your school and a lot of times for your state. So as you started this conversation with the politicians in the respective states, they are encouraging you to not be part of the House settlement. They are encouraging you to not play by these rules, by and large. Do what you need to do to win. Help the school, help the system, help the state. That's what we're doing here.
Yeah. Sucks when it's all unenforceable is basically. Yeah. And one of those quarterbacks in there from Darian Mensah gets $3 million they said for Duke, and they win an ACC championship. I mean, you can call it fraudulent, but still, what an ACC championship.
Hey,
so is it worth it?
8-5 is ACC champ. That is all matter. Why do they care? We got ACC championship. You're right. That ain't going away. That's it. All right. With that said, let me ask you a question. socialreplaypodcast@gmail.com. socialreplaypodcast@gmail.com. Send us a question, a query. That's better. Would you like to go first, Captain? Or you want me to go first?
No, I'll go first.
Right.
I had a different one, but I had to pivot given what the Steelers did yesterday.
Oh, boy.
Easy question. Is it time to show Mike Tomlin the door?
Christopher, it's been time for Mike Tomlin to walk out that door and not come back for about 4 or 5 seasons. And people hate this. And I'll tell you what becomes interesting about this. Quickly, all the time, this conversation comes back to race, which I think is a lazy, uneducated argument. It means you don't watch the games. You haven't watched the team. For those of us that are Steelers fans, have watched, by and large, out of the last 30 years, I've missed like 6 games. And if I've missed them, I've probably gone back and watched the DVR full version of every single play. This is the problem. This team has not gotten any better in 10 years. He has hired poor coordinators over and over again, which affect the offense and the defense. His locker room control is not really there. Again, evidenced by DK Metcalf, a guy that, and this is a front office issue too. You give this guy guarantee, $60 million, and you have in the contract, if he has issues like he just did by punching or swinging at the fan, his contract can be voided. You knew he had a problem. You pay him like that. This is your outcome here. You have no ability to you don't go get a second wide receiver. You've made bad draft picks. There's a lot of mistakes at the higher level. But Tomlin overall, the team has seemed to tune him out. They have not progressed. They've not gotten better. They're damning stats all the time. They are 0-4-1 in their last 5 games against teams that are 8 games under 500. That's never happened before in the NFL. 0-4-1. The Browns, again, was one of those losses yesterday. There comes a point in time where you've been successful, you've had a good run, but if the standard is the standard, and he wants to talk about this all the time, the standard for the Steelers is Super Bowls. We are a spoiled fan base, and we've been very lucky. But you have not won a playoff game in 10 years, and you likely won't win one this year. Even if they get in to the playoffs and they beat the Ravens. That's the problem with Steelers fans is you look around and you say, but what are we really going to do? So if the standard has, for his standards, become finish above 500, get into the playoffs, don't win a game, that to Steelers fans is unacceptable and should be unacceptable to the Rooney family as the ownership of this great franchise for the last 80, 90 years. This isn't about race. This is about coaching. This is about getting the most out of your players. And in recent years, he hasn't had the most talent, but he hasn't put great people in positions of coordinator spots or led the way that he needs to lead, in my opinion. You look back from 2016 to 2020, Boatloads of talent. Most talent in the league. If Belichick has those rosters, he wins 2 or 3 Super Bowls over those 5 years. Ben, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown before he went nuts. Second and third receivers. Really good line. Great defense. Secondary, you need some work a couple of those years. But if he has the talent, they would find they had the talent, couldn't win. Couldn't beat the Patriots. Couldn't even come close. Get your ass kicked over and over again. So when they had the talent, he didn't maximize it. When they haven't been as good, they have found a level of mediocrity that just keeps him his job. That is not the standard. I've had enough. I've seen enough. The bad losses in teams that are bad, the challenge record that's a debacle, the go for it on 4th down with your gut instead of the analytics and miss all the freaking time, the bad coordinators, the sound bites afterwards. I'm done with the whole thing. I don't care if they get in the playoffs. It does not matter. The standard is Super Bowls, and he ain't getting there anymore. Thank you for the rant. What do you need? What do you got?
You're welcome. When you say the standard is Super Bowls, and you haven't made the playoffs in 10 years,
I haven't won a playoff game. But we've won. Like you win enough of them. You think you should be in the competition. We want to be in. The expectation is competition to win a Super Bowl. To win, it's really freaking hard. Get that. But the competition to be in one and in the discussion is where the Steelers organization has been. And again, it's a spoiled fan base. For the majority of my life, every season we've gone into, minus the last 5 or 6, there is a thought that if you put this thing together, they can get to the AFC Championship game, maybe to a Super Bowl. That's the expectation. In recent years, the expectation now is, well, can they make the playoffs? And if they do, will they win a game? He says the standard is the standard. That's not the Steelers' standard, but that's where the standard is now. And that's where I think the fan base is jaded. Those of us that watch every game, you see the mistakes, you see the lack of progress. You saw some terrible coordinators in the past. We've watched it all. National media, you tune in for 4 or 5 games a year. Those of you that aren't doing your work are just repeating shit. Oh, the Steelers, tough running game football. But you don't watch the team. I'm tired of it. See, now I'm getting annoyed. Anyway, sorry.
When you say it's about race, other black coaches have been fired. Like you're saying they're reluctant to pull the trigger because he's an African-American, respected.
No, I think the criticism is when you make criticisms, it becomes about race. When I've talked about this stuff, people will always pull a race.
Why is
card.
it different than Tomlin though? Because other black coaches have been
the argument
criticized.
is the argument is the black coaches are it's being graded on a harder scale. Like if this was a white coach and he's above 500 all the time, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Yeah. Which I don't necessarily buy that. What I do buy is there are things where you see where maybe there's a quicker trigger on some young black coaches. There's a lot of evidence to that. You can see different guys' records to that. You can see guys that once they get fired early on don't get recycled like a lot of white coaches have for years. There are issues with bias and perception and all types of stuff. The Rooney Rule exists in the NFL because the Steelers, said it was important to interview minority candidates before you make a decision. They didn't just do that. They put their money where their mouth was. They did hire a Mike Tomlin at the time that was 36 years old that was a coordinator for 1 or 2 years in Minnesota. Like, they took a swing, by and large, because they were really impressed with his interview. He had outstanding recommendations from great coaches like Tony Dungy and others. And they brought a guy in at the time that inherited a roster that was super talented with a young quarterback. And what I think was one of the best things he did as a young CEO of his organization is say, all right, Dick LeBeau, you're a Hall of Fame defensive coordinator. You run a completely different defensive system than I do. You know what I'm going to do? Let you do it. Okay, I'm going to let you do your thing. Offensive coordinator. All right, Ken Wisenhunt. Here's what you're going to do. You're an outstanding guy. Here's the ethos I want to work under. Do your thing. I'm going to set the culture and the tempo. I'm going to go anti-coward, not as a little more players coach with this group. Meld them together. Win a Super Bowl within a couple years. Like that takes a lot of leadership and understanding of where you're at to make that shift and to do that. He continued to improve, I think. And then as the guys got a little more player power, a little more unwieldy, a lot of them became all pros. Your Big Ben, your Le'Veon Bell, your Antonio Brown. He lost the locker room, and he lost great leadership too. There was no longer Troy Polamalu, James Harrison, different guys through Casey Hampton that were leaders across that team that could keep things in line, and it got away from him. And then he started making bad coordinator decisions. He's been around for 20 years. Any organizational leader there for 20 years, that's a long freaking time. So I think people always come back to the racial piece of it and say, well, if he was a white coach, we wouldn't have this conversation. When you say that, you've discredited yourself because you don't watch the games. And you don't understand of us, whether myself being a mixed guy, black guys, white people, everybody, if you watch all the games and you have legitimate criticism, You have to be able to lob that criticism, whether the coach is black, white, red, green, I don't care. There are different situations we are talking about with coaches that are flushed out of the league before other white coaches, like I said before, or maybe graded on a harder curve. This is watching the teams and the organizational expectation.
I think if he was white, he would have been fired a long time ago. I see the race thing as that way.
Really?
I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, I think if he was a white coach, I think they would have gotten rid of him a long time ago. I think they like him. I think the Rooneys. I mean, you just painted the picture of the past and their advocation for these types of hires and interviews, but I think they've liked him. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there as a theory. I don't follow it as closely as you, but if he were white, I'm thinking maybe he gets let go years ago.
I wouldn't say that. I think what I do say, I do think you're right. They like Tomlin, and he's likable because people that don't watch the game, he is a great soundbite. He says a lot of good things, and he does like you. He says the right things all the time, but like we had a great quote years ago about we're gonna come out and we're gonna unleash hell, and that ran all week. Well, bro, they got beat by 4 touchdowns that next game. They didn't unleash anything, but the soundbites what people remember. Did you watch the follow-up performance? Nah, man, you missed that part. You left that part out. The quote led all the shows. The performance on the weekend was not talked about. So this is he is a likable guy. He's fun. He's interesting. He's affable. And it's not like he's a bad football coach. You aren't meeting the standard of the organization and the standard that you keep talking about, that you keep mentioning. You aren't meeting that. Like, you can't tell me that you are. And the difference with this, and this people think of, it's like, well, you're just bitter or jaded because they just lost the Browns. You should read the text message between Derek, myself, and our buddy Chris. This has been a conversation for seasons. This isn't a new season conversation. We know we're the mediocrity. We know we are a level of just mediocrity. And from week to week, you know what you're going to get. There's not consistency. There's a lot of times this year's too, especially lack of discipline, bad decision-making, bad penalties. And that's been, a habit of these teams over the last couple of years. And if, we're to live in this world of mediocrity with a former defensive coach that hasn't made really good hires around him, this game has changed too, man. Offensively minded coaches that are young, that are cutting edge, that's where people are going. That's where success has been had. We're stuck, in an antiquated world.
Yeah. I think he stole that quote from Russell Crowe at the beginning of Gladiator. At my command, unleash hell.
He probably did. He probably walked. And know what those guys did though? They listened to Maximus. They unleashed hell in Germania. They ravaged the Germans that day.
Yeah, you got to be able to back up the unleash hell statement.
You don't back up much. They don't back up much.
You can't unleash heck. In other words, you got to unleash the hell.
They unleashed shit. It was a disaster, and I don't even care if they lose. Win or lose the Ravens, they're not running deep in this playoffs if they get there. But well, thank you for that. Okay, let me ask you this. Let me ask you a question. So my timeline in social media has been flooded this week with content around, memes and whatnot of men knowing nothing of what's in these gifts. Like, no clue. Yeah. Mom did everything, and me just hanging out, whatever. Which, personally, totally had a similar experience. Not arguing that. But it did lead me to this. What is the most acceptable gender norm in our society?
Acceptable gender norm. Wow, great question. I mean, so many have just been completely destroyed.
So what do we still stand up? What do both sides seem to be very okay with? And I would say that this Christmas one to me has seemed like, the women are doing all the work, they're making all the plans, do all the wrapping, and the guys are just hanging out. And by and large, I don't hear a lot of women complaining about that.
Yeah.
Lord, and those guys aren't.
Yeah, I mean, technically, Jamie didn't get my sister the bread maker. We got her the bread maker. I had no idea there was a bread maker in there.
And when she opened it, were you like, oh, bread maker? Like, did you have any idea?
Oh, well, my mom would have gotten something like that. No, I had no idea. That's what I'm saying. I had no idea. Damn, man, off the top, man, like I was thinking holding doors, but that's kind of, somebody will look at you wrong for that.
Paying? Or paying?
Picking up the check, I was going to say. Picking up the check, you'll get a side look for that too.
That one I think is tricky. That one's interesting. because there have been, I think, what was it like not a 60 Minutes-esque, it was something about, no matter, it was proving the point or going to the point of, and they interviewed a couple women that were successful. I think it was New York, Chicago, or LA, but we're making the point of, yeah, I still want the man to pay. Like I can pay, I just still want him to pay. And if he's not going to pay, and like the reach for or the suggestion of let's go Dutch, let's split it, was offensive to them in some regard. Now I'm not speaking for every woman here, but even that former norm that seemed to be agreed upon by both sides, I think some men are pushing back on that, and I think some women are okay with letting that fly.
Who are these men pushing back on that?
I don't know, but I like, if you're asking a woman to split, then you're clearly pushing back on it in some regard. Hey, you want to toss your card out here?
Yeah. Bro, I feel like I'm letting you down. I feel like there's something here, but I can't think about it. And I'm more nervous around these things too. Like the one that my wife is now pushing back on is, I used to drive everywhere. Like even if it was her car we were using, I would drive. And she's like, I can drive myself. I don't need that. I was like, oh, I thought the guy gets in there and drives.
I still do that because more importantly, I think Kelsey's an unsafe driver. It's a different concern, but she would push back. She would push back on that take. Taking off the trash, like,
yeah, she shares that too, man. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if I'm in an elevator with a woman, I'll, sort of do that, act like I'm holding the door open and let her go first. After you, I don't know.
Yeah. See, I think
Great
after,
question.
I think after you was very. I think it's obviously accepted by both sides. I'm not sure if it's practiced by both sides at the level that it once was, but I think. I mean, I asked the question as a little bit of self-fulfilling prophecy. I think this is the most agreed upon gender norm right now in our society. That we're not. The men aren't pushing back, and the women, like the pushback is not, "Hey, help me." It's like they're getting their accolades, hey, great job, or whatever. But nobody's asking either person to do either role. It's just like, this is their domain. This is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna support from afar, and we're cool with this.
Yeah, I like it. It's been super helpful.
Of course we do. We don't do anything.
Right.
And of course I want us all to like it because I don't want to do anything. It's great. I mean, there you go.
Yeah. I did get stuff for the kids though. I get my own little, and I do Jamie's stocking.
That's good.
So I contribute.
That's good. Well, yeah, I get Lyra a couple extra things. Let's be real. I have no clue what Dace Lyra Kelsey's got Dace all the shot. Now, granted, she wants to get so much stuff. I'm just like, this is bananas. And of course, I get her things.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything for anybody else that has my name on it. That's where part of the memes were. It's just like, oh, what'd you get there? Like it's me. It's genuine surprise. Oh, what is that? Oh, cool. Like genuine. Don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm right there with you on that.
Hope we keep it that way. All right. That's pod. Social Replay Podcast at gmail.com. Social Replay Podcast at gmail.com. Send us a question, rate, review, subscribe. We'll see you next week.